Rundown Football Friday on CBS Sports. Nick Costos joined alongside the handsome, the dapper, the linebacker, John Beeson. Now,
What's
John,
up, man?
I'm doing well, man. You doing well?
Hey, I'm hanging in there, doing all right. Good to see you.
Good to see you, my friend. And I know that you know a little something about first-team All-Pro. You
Just
were
a
on the
little bit.
All-Pro team
Just
a
a little
couple
bit.
times in your NFL career. The 2016 All-Pro team officially announced. Let's check it out. Starting on the offensive side of the ball, most noteworthy here, Matt Ryan, the first-team All-Pro quarterback. That means he'll likely capture the league's most valuable player award. Do you think the voters got it right at quarterback, Matt Ryan over both Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady?
Yeah, I think if you look at the fact that Brady, missed a quarter of the season and Rodgers struggled the first third of the season, you say, hey, Matt was consistent and he did the most for his team in terms of spreading the ball around, getting everybody involved. A couple games didn't have Julio Jones. Even when Julio Jones didn't play well, they still scored 30 points. They had 11 games over 30 points. 540 points of offense, 8th all-time scoring. Just an outstanding season. Hats off to Matt Ryan.
In your eyes, is Matt Ryan the league MVP?
For sure. I've been talking about it for weeks on the show,
Yep.
and you know this. And not that, I wanted to go against Brady as a Brady hater because, his 12 games, he's been outstanding, but it's like shooting free throws, right?
To be fair, you're not a Brady hater. You have the ultimate respect for Tom
Yeah,
Brady.
I
You
love
just
him.
don't think that he deserves the award based on the fact that he was suspended for a quarter of the season.
Well, here's the deal. You can say, okay, well, if he played the other quarter of the season, he could have lit it up.
But he didn't.
But he didn't.
Yeah.
So which means he could have been bad too.
Correct.
So it's not my fault. It's Brady's fault.
Now, for Matt Ryan and Aaron Rodgers, I think if you asked most people, they'd say they had more confidence in Rodgers in January, even given the potential MVP and first-team All-Pro for Matt Ryan. Where do you stand on that issue here? Who do you feel better about heading into the NFC playoffs, Matt Ryan or Aaron Rodgers?
Well, I would start with the offensive line. I think the Atlanta offensive line's a lot better, and then I think the Atlanta defense, especially in the secondary, is playing better. So Aaron has to do more. Matt has to do less. But I think the vertical style of their offense in terms of getting the ball downfield and getting everybody involved. The running game, it doesn't matter. With Atlanta, you don't know who to key on. You don't know who's going to be the guy. I think that makes them dangerous.
Now to the first-team All-Pro on defense. And, John, I know that you're a huge fan of Dallas Cowboys linebacker Sean Lee. Great to see him healthy this year, really emerging, and you definitely think the voters got it right with his inclusion.
Yeah, so he can't make the NFC Pro Bowl voting for a linebacker, but he can be the best in the league at first team. It's crazy. It's bizarre to me. But you know what? This meant more to me as an All-Pro as opposed to being a Pro Bowler because it meant you were the best in the NFL. And you could make the argument that the Cowboys, up front with all the suspension, the injuries in the secondary, Sean Lee is the big name on that defense, and he's the reason why they've won a lot of games. I think if Sean Lee gets injured throughout this magical season that they're having, they don't win as many games as they did.
Huge news, John, breaking this morning as the Indianapolis Colts will reportedly retain the services of both head coach Chuck Pagano and general manager Ryan Grigson for the 2017 season. This after the team missed the playoffs for the second consecutive year.
Well, the first 3 years they made it. Now, you have Andrew Luck, obviously an outstanding talent, big time, #1 overall coming out. But the difference is what about that supporting cast? You haven't had a Pro Bowl since 2012. You've missed big on free agency. So I don't know if it's on Chuck as much as it is on the general manager. But for me, I think you keep him because who do you replace him with? And that's the biggest issue. Are you going to be better? You bring in a new coach and start from scratch. I think they have something there. They just got to do a better job of staying healthy, and hopefully they don't miss on the draft and free agency.
Do you think that they're wasting years of Andrew Luck's career here when you look at their inability to get him protection up front, to get him legitimate weapons in the run game? And look, and we know Frank Gore had a nice season, but he's not the game-breaking running back that we've seen some of these great quarterbacks have behind them.
Well, I would say this. With Frank, I think he needs more carries, first off. But they've drafted guys high in the draft. They brought in free agency guys in terms of trying to fortify that offensive line. It just hasn't worked out. And, look, a lot of this game is about luck. Guys staying not Andrew Luck, but staying.
No pun intended. Actual luck.
But guys staying healthy is huge. You start the season, you have you have this equation, you're moving pieces around, and this should be perfect. And all of a sudden, boom, one piece of the puzzle is missing, and then all of a sudden everything kind of goes to crap. So it's very hard to be consistent in the NFL.
Coming up next, can the Dolphins slow down Le'Veon Bell on the Steelers' run game on Sunday? That and more coming up, PFR.
Nope.
Wild card weekend in the National Football League. Two huge matchups on Sunday, beginning with the Miami Dolphins visiting the Pittsburgh Steelers. You think that Kiko Alonso and that Dolphins defense can slow down Le'Veon Bell?
No chance.
Zero.
Zero. And listen, this isn't a slight on Kiko. You know, he's an athletic linebacker. He's done some good things throughout his career. But listen, Le'Veon Bell is hard to tackle in a phone booth, let alone on a football field. They're going to have their hands tied because ultimately you try to load up the box to stop Le'Veon Bell, but then you have Antonio Brown outside at receiver. So he's going to force you to either say, hey, we're either going to take away one guy or the other guy. You can't do both. So I think they have a huge opportunity to win big this week, the Steelers.
If you're on this Dolphins defense here, who would you prefer to take away, Le'Veon Bell or Antonio Brown?
It's tough. I would say.
That's tough. Like, you're picking your poison here, big time with those two guys, two of the best at their positions.
I would say you can do some things in coverage to kind of take Antonio Brown out of it in terms of playing man underneath with help over the top. Or when you play zone, you kind of roll coverage toward Antonio Brown. But I think if you have to go out, if you're the Dolphins, especially with that front that they have, stop the run first and then see what happens. Because it's ultimately going to come down to that. If Le'Veon has success on the ground,
game's over.
Game's over. Because the next thing you know, Antonio's going to be running wild for a deep ball from Big Ben. It'll be a touchdown.
Now, the nightcap on Sunday, the New York Giants visiting the Green Bay Packers. This Green Bay secondary ravaged right now, John, by injuries. Do you think Eli Manning and company can take advantage? Yeah,
it's kind of a facade for both teams. I mean, the Giants haven't been great, haven't scored over 20 points in the month of December. The offense has been bad, 5.3 yards per play the last 2 weeks, just horrible. And then on the Green Bay side, they're winning games. Aaron Rodgers is playing out of his mind. But the secondary, they had some major injuries this past week, so I don't know who's going to cover Odell Beckham and company. So it could go either way. What a tough game to call. I just can't say.
Our picks coming up here.
Yeah, we'll save it. We'll save it.
In just moments here. But if you're on this Green Bay defense here, and you know they're going to do what they can to take Odell Beckham out of the game, regardless of who's in and who's out, do you think that's going to open things up over the middle for Victor Cruz and Sterling Shepard?
Yeah, those guys are going to have to step up big time. For me, I think Nick Perry and Clay Matthews, Julius Peppers, those guys got to play big because they have a huge mismatch with that Giants offensive line. If you can't protect the franchise, you're in trouble. They do a good job of getting the ball out quick, but the problem is it's not leading to points. You're waiting for Odell Beckham to catch a slant and break a tackle. It could happen, but how often is it happening? You got to score points, and against the Packers, you're going to have to because Aaron Rodgers is playing out of his mind right now.
All right, we've been teasing at our picks for the Giants, Packers, and the rest of Wild Card Weekend coming up right now. John, we begin with game number 1 on Saturday. Connor Cook and the Oakland Raiders visiting Brock Osweiler and the Houston Texans. Houston, a 3.5-point home favorite. Who do you like?
Yeah, you know what? Even with Derek Carr, they won by a touchdown earlier in the season. So I'm gonna have to go.
City?
Exactly. I'm gonna have to go with the Texans here, and it's just based on the defense. Whitney Merciless, Jadeveon Clowney's playing outstanding. It's going to be very hard for a young Cook to go out and muster up some points. I don't think they have enough firepower to win the game.
If you're on this Texans defense, what's the mindset going into this game, knowing that you're facing a rookie quarterback, his first career start, and it comes on a road playoff game?
Well, I want to blitz him and I want to confuse him, but I don't want to give him anything. That would be the goal. Listen, we're going to go out here and we're going to give a goose egg. I don't care what happens on the offensive side. Brock can turn the ball over. Whatever happens over there. They're going to score enough points to win. Ultimately, because the defense is saying, hey, we're going to have a goose egg. And that's got to be the mentality going to the football game.
Psychologically, would you be looking to say something to Connor Cook? Are you talking to him while he's under center, or are you just letting your actions do the talking?
No, I'm never, ever just going to line up and do nothing. I'm gonna disguise every single snap. It's going to look like blitz. When it is blitz, it's going to look like coverage when it actually is coverage, and vice versa, just to give him something else to think about, because ultimately he's only watched so much film, and if you come with something new, he's not going to be able to handle it. And that's really the issue. He can go back and watch the last couple games, even the last game, and feel really comfortable about what Romeo Crennel is calling on defense, but ultimately in that situation, it's going to be very difficult to have consistency to score points.
I'm with you, buddy. I think the Texans win this game, and I think they could win it by 2 scores. What a shame for the Raiders that they don't have Derek
Sad.
Carr for this, their first playoff game since the 2002 season.
You're 12-4 going on the road.
12-4, not just going on the road, and not even with your backup. With your third string, a rookie making his first career start. It really stinks for the great Raiders fans, but it looks like the silver and black will be back now for years to come. The nightcap on Saturday sees the Detroit Lions visiting Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. The NFC West champions are 8-point favorites.
Yeah, I think the line's kind of high in this game. I mean, if you look at what's happened with Seattle, their offense has been up and down. They haven't had any consistency. They haven't been able to run the ball, protect Russell Wilson. But then they've shown that they can light it up sometimes. So I'm going to go with the Seattle defense at home, especially because they're at home. I think they'll do enough to slow down Matt Stafford and company.
You think the Lions keep it close enough to fall under that 8-point spread and cover?
Yeah, for sure.
The Seahawks by 6.
Yeah.
I have a slight lean towards Seattle laying the points here. I just don't see a scenario where Detroit wins the game. And to me, that's really what it comes down to. And if Seattle does win, and when Seattle wins, they will travel to Atlanta in the divisional round of the NFC playoffs. Now moving on to Sunday. These games on Sunday are absolutely awesome. We've got 4 historical franchises in the NFL that have great playoff matchups here in the last 20, 30, 40 years. The Dolphins visiting the Steelers, game number 1. Ben Roethlisberger and company, 10-point favorites.
Yeah, I think they cover. I just whether it's Matt Moore or Ryan Tannehill, I just don't know where they're going to get the points from. I think the Steelers defense is playing good enough, but it's really their offense. Their offense is going to be on the field so long drives that the defense will be fresh and they'll be able to tee off on the Miami Dolphins defense. Matchup nightmares across the board. The big 3 are playing for the Steelers. I think the Steelers cover.
What do you say to people, Dolphins fans namely, who are all over me and others on Twitter, who say when you watch the first game these two teams played this year, game was in Miami, obviously. Roethlisberger got hurt. Jay Ajayi went for over 200 yards here. The Steelers defense is going to be...
Shazier was not playing.
They're going to be selling out to stop the run game this time.
Yeah, well, that's all you have to really worry about. I mean, you got Stills who can obviously stretch a defense, and Jarvis who can get loose in the slot. But I really don't think that, and even as a Dolphin fan, being a Miami native, look, you got your gift early.
You got to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a Dolphin, I would say, hey, you know what? Listen, I would prefer to have lost the game to the Steelers. Hopefully they come in a little overconfident and you could sneak them, but they're going to be really upset about that game early in the season.
Now, John, the main event of Wild Card Weekend, the New York Football Giants, the Green Bay Packers, the frozen tundra.
Can you call it? I can't call this one. Can you call it?
What do you mean call it?
Who's going to win?
Oh, of course I'm going to call it. I mean, I'm going to take the New York Giants to win the game, of course.
He's a fan. He's a fan.
I grew up a Giants fan. In 2007, the Giants went in there in the NFC Championship game, beat Brett Favre and the Packers. In 2011, Packers were 15-1. Giants went in there, divisional round, Lambeau Field, beat them 37-20. Giants beat the Patriots. In the Super Bowl, both of those years, perhaps this will be a portend of things to come. The Packers 4.5-point favorites on Sunday.
Well, that sounds good when you got McKenzie up there, O'Hara, Snead.
I don't like to let the facts get in the way of a good story. That was a good story.
They had a great offensive line, and they protected Eli well. He didn't have to do much because the defense was very good, which the same holds true. The defense is outstanding this year. But, man, the offense has to score points, and that's what scares me in this game. I think it could be a shootout, but it's going to be close. And the only reason I'm going to pick the Packers is because when I pick the Giants to win, they've lost this season. And that's the only reason why.
So thank you very much from this Giants fan team.
There you go.
Picking the Green
so
Bay
we
Packers
both hope the Giants win.
Yes.
But I have to take the Packers.
And I'm going to pick the New York Giants. Forget about the points. Give me the Giants on the money line. Of course, the Giants go into Lambeau and beat the Packers in January.
Yeah.
That's what they do. That does it for the Friday edition of Pro Football Rundown on CBS Sports. But we will see you tomorrow, Saturday, 4:05 p.m. Eastern, the pregame for the Texans and Raiders right here on CBS.
Don't miss it.